Hi everybody, this is my second episode of Materialism. This is Mr. Materialist. And today we are going to talk about a mental illness that is material in nature and misunderstood. This disease is schizophrenia. Now, schizophrenia is a complex, misunderstood mental health disorder which affects approximately 1% of the global population. So why am I interested in this subject? Part of the reason is I have some relatives and friends who suffer from mental illness, including schizophrenia. So this disease is more widespread than we think. Basically, 1% might is not a lot of people, but in the United States, I think there are about 350 million people. So that would mean that it affects about 3.5 million people in the United States. In Zambia, it would affect probably about, I think it's about 20 million people. I might be wrong, either on or off. So let's say it's 20 million. That would mean about 200,000 people are affected by schizophrenia. That's a lot of people. And so, and the other countries as well, Nigeria, you're probably talking about definitely a million being affected by this disease. And most of it, a large number of people are not even diagnosed. So I want to talk about this subject because people misunderstand what schizophrenia is, and I will get more into that. So stay to the end of the video to understand, but you have a basic understanding of what it is. 1 in 100 people suffer from the disease. I bet you that most of us are going to know 1 or 2 people who suffer from the disease or are going to encounter someone who has schizophrenia, and knowing how to handle that or how to deal with those situations, and or who you can refer them to help, or who you can call on to help, is very important and fundamental. Now let's continue. Schizophrenia is a chronic and severe mental illness that affects how a person feels and behaves. It is basically misperceiving things, and it is indeed a disease of the brain. I'll use an illustration. Whenever you dream, to see that dream world as a real world. When you're dreaming that you're flying, you fly, right? You fly. You actually go on a platform. It's so much fun when I went over it, and it's so depressing. Like, oh my god, I want to fly all the time. Wish I could just fly. I'm not going to fly on the plane, but flying like Superman or something, right? That's a dream world. That world is not real. You're dreaming, but the moment you're sleeping in that dream world, it seems real. With schizophrenia, what's happening is that you are actually awake. It's like me sitting here and dreaming. Think of it. I'm walking on the streets in this world and I'm kind of semi-dreaming. It's a misperception. Your brain is not processing things properly. So you're misperceiving things. So, for example, you may hear voices, or there are a lot of other things. Okay? Although, again, if you're hearing voices, it's not always schizophrenia, it could be something else. So go see a doctor. But that's basically the analogy. It's not perfect, but it can help you understand how schizophrenia works. It's basically someone is in a certain world, and that world, they're misperceiving the world. The world doesn't exist that way. It's like they're in a dream world, but they are wide awake. People with schizophrenia may experience a range of symptoms that can significantly impact their daily lives and their function in society. The disorder typically emerges in the late adolescence or early adulthood, with the onset of the disease usually occurring between the ages of 16 and 30. Symptoms seem to be more severe on younger people more than older people. So it can happen at any age, let's be clear. But it seems to be that the younger you are, the more severe the symptoms are. It seems to be that men are more affected than women. Schizophrenia symptoms are often categorized into 3 main groups. 1, positive symptoms. These are psychotic behaviors, not generally seen in healthy people. For example, hallucinations, seeing or hearing or feeling things that aren't there. We briefly spoke about that between illustrations. Delusions, false beliefs not based in reality. Be careful with this one. But there are cultural beliefs and different religions and so on and so forth. So do not mix up religious beliefs, and that includes cults. Okay, even if it's a cult, you don't say, oh, if somebody joins a cult, oh, they're schizophrenic. No. If somebody joins a church, they're schizophrenic. No. If somebody joins another faith, they're schizophrenic. No, they're not. A professional expert has to diagnose an illness. For example, somebody believes that the world is flat. That by itself does not mean that they're schizophrenic. It just means they believe the world is flat and somebody else believes that the world is round, and they can justify that. So be careful with delusions. That's just part of the diagnosis. There are other ways in which professionals diagnose things. Another one is thought disorders, unusual or dysfunctional ways of thinking. Another one under the same positive symptoms would be movement disorders, agitated body movement. So basically, what positive symptoms are symptoms that we normally don't see in healthy people that we meet around, and then we see these things in people who have schizophrenia. 2. Negative symptoms. These are disruptions to normal emotions and behavior. They include reduced expression of emotions, decreased motivation, difficulty starting and sustaining activities, reduced speaking, finding less pleasure in everyday life. 3. Cognitive symptoms. These affect the person's ability to process information and make decisions. They include poor executive functioning, trouble focusing or paying attention, problems working with memory. It's important to note that symptoms can vary greatly from person to person, and not everyone with schizophrenia will experience all these symptoms. In fact, most people don't, to be honest. It depends on the person. While there is no cure for schizophrenia, various treatments can help manage symptoms and improve quality of life. Treatment typically involves a combination of approaches. One way to look at the treatment of schizophrenia is to look at how diabetes is treated. So diabetes can be managed, but in most cases you don't have a complete cure. There are people who recover from schizophrenia, but the consensus is that the disease, while it's not curable, is treatable. Majority of people can manage to live normal lives, go to work, and do all sorts of things living with schizophrenia if it's managed properly. These are some of the medications used in treatment of schizophrenia. Antipsychotic medications. Now, antipsychotic medications are the cornerstone of schizophrenia treatment. They work by altering the brain's neurotransmitter balance, particularly dopamine, which is thought to play a major role in the psychotic symptoms. There are 2 main types of these drugs: typical antipsychotics and atypical antipsychotics. The choice of the medication depends on the individual's symptoms, side effects, and response to the treatment. Now, if you want to know the details of these drugs and everything, I advise that you contact a professional. I'm giving you a summary of how the disease is treated and other types of information. If you want to go further, you can also visit NAMI, N-A-M-I. Google it, you'll find it. They deal with all sorts of mental illness. You find out information from them. They have a lot of things. And the other organizations as well. Psychosocial treatments. These are interventions that help individuals cope with the challenges of living with schizophrenia and develop skills for daily life. They include cognitive behavior therapy. This helps change thought patterns and behaviors. There's also family education and support, which involves family members in treatment and provides them with coping strategies, social skills training, improves communication and social interaction. There's vocational rehabilitation, which assists with job training and employment support. Now, these treatments that we're providing here should be taken with individual situations may vary and location may vary. So individual situations and location may vary. If you are in the United States, you're in Canada or in somewhere in Europe or Australia or maybe even Japan, you probably have access to these resources. If you are in some of the developing nations or even some second world countries, they may not have those facilities. I'm not sure whether those facilities would be available in Russia or some other countries like that or China. These are things that are decided on a case-by-case basis. Another one is coordinated specialty care. This team-based treatment model integrates medical, psychosocial treatments, family involvement, education to help individuals with schizophrenia lead productive lives. As I think many people have schizophrenia, some of them work with us, some of them are our bosses, or we work under them, and we just don't know because, of course, these things are not revealed to the public. A lot of people with schizophrenia are able to lead very normal lives, and as long as it's treatment and with family involvement. This is actually the best way to treat schizophrenia if it's not severe. I'll get to the other treatment when it's severe. It's a combination of social and medical treatment. You can't just have medical treatment without the social aspect. One of the biggest problems with schizophrenia is the failure of us as a society to understand people who have this disease. We tend to not know how to act. And family members should be consulting with the doctors or the psychiatrists or clinical psychologists that are involved in treating this disease. It depends on the part of the world where you're located in. The more treatments that you provide, the better the chance that the disease can be managed. There are people who have gotten off meds. That treatment was for schizophrenia. From what I read in one of the books when I was doing this research, is that if you don't have relapse of schizophrenia for like 1 year, professional, whoever's treating, you can stop using meds and you just start doing the social care, and that would be good enough. So it shows the power of combining different types of treatment. If all the treatments fail and the disease becomes severe, hospitalization may have to be done in those situations. In severe cases or during acute episodes, hospitalization is necessary because it ensures the person's safety, the safety of others, and they also provided with intensive treatment. This is one of the reasons why I did this, is we are sometimes going to encounter some people who have undiagnosed schizophrenia because, unfortunately, there are many cases of schizophrenia we cannot diagnose. And some of these individuals may be on the streets. And so if you notice some individual acting all of a sudden very violent, I'm not saying that that's always the case. It's not, let me be clear, it's only a minority of people with schizophrenia act in a violent way. In fact, they're more likely to be killed or attacked by somebody who does not have schizophrenia, who's just a completely healthy, normal person, than somebody with schizophrenia. Let me make that clear. But if you see someone acting in an odd way, saying things that are out of line, instead of taking them to jail or something like that, it may be necessary to take them for treatment. But I know that there are many cases of unhoused individuals. I have my other channel called Chingy Monologues you can watch. I talk a lot about unhoused individuals. There are a lot of people unhoused who may have schizophrenia. Again, this is caveat. The majority of people who have schizophrenia lead normal lives are people that you may talk to. Some of them are our friends, our friends of schizophrenia. It's not, it's not as severe as we make it out to be. I'm pretty sure the others who have told me, and there might be one who haven't told me, but the fact is, we have, these are individuals who live around, who are part of our society. Sometimes there are also cases where, for example, somebody can get hit by a car. There was a case where a person thought that they could fly, and they stepped out of the window and they fell down from a very high building and broke, I think they both and died. So such cases like that, you want to take them for hospitalization, for treatment. You want to protect them, because sometimes somebody may have a severe case of schizophrenia and they may just suddenly step in the middle of the road and get hit. Understanding what schizophrenia is not is crucial for dispelling myths and reducing stigma. Here are some important clarifications. Schizophrenia is not multiple personality disorder. It is not to be confused with dissociative identity disorder, which was formerly known as multiple personality disorder. These are distinct conditions and have nothing, and they are not totally different from schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is not demon possession. Despite historical misconception, schizophrenia is a medical condition, a disease of the brain. It's not a spiritual supernatural phenomenon. It is not caused by demon possession or any other mystical force, whatever that means. This misconception can lead to harmful treatments and delay proper medical care. I want to give one example that I read about when I was doing research on schizophrenia. Actually, it ends up being when somebody is suffering from a schizophrenic experience, let's say they're beginning to hallucinate or become paranoid, delusional something. At that moment, the best approach when they're having that episode is actually to be calm and walk them through that process. You walk them through that process and help them navigate themselves out of that situation. What you're not supposed to do is you're screaming and shouting. My African brothers and sisters, I know people in religious circles in the West and other parts of the world know this. When people are trying to cast out a demon, as they call it, casting out a demon, what do people do? They scream, speak in tongues, they do all sorts of things. And that screaming makes their condition worse. That's why I'm so much against it. A wrong diagnosis can lead to all sorts of problems. I'm not saying you shouldn't pray for somebody. Of course, I understand that people are religious. Majority of the world believes in God, supernatural force, and it's okay to pray. There are even studies that show that prayers can help. But in this situation, in this particular disease, it's very important that people understand how to navigate this and how to help someone. And I tell you what, screaming at them and asking them, what's going on with you? What are you doing? Does not help. You have to be in there with you. have to try to understand where they are at. A very good example is what Rowan Williams, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, he was talking about something as a sort of mental illness, but this can also be helpful in schizophrenia. You literally have to go into their world to understand what's going on. So you have to say, what's going on in there? You have to empathize. You have to try to understand what's going on in their world. And once you understand that, then you can help them navigate that world. And you're not going to do that by screaming at them. So please don't do it. It's not a result of poor parenting. This is a misconception in the West, right? This one is mostly the Western problem in some circles. Schizophrenia is not caused by bad parenting or childhood trauma, although environmental factors may play a role in its development alongside genetic predisposition. Don't begin looking for traumas of an individual, or maybe that's because your parent did this. That's a misconception. The fact is that research is still being done on schizophrenia, but large amounts of environmental factors, including poor parenting, has been dismissed. Another thing is the idea of correlation does not prove causation. This is very important because just because you are told a certain group has a large number of people who are schizophrenic, let's assume that we found that out, does not prove that certain behavior in that group is what's causing it. There could be other factors. It could be food, it could be genetics, it could be some other things. It could be that that group is tested more than other groups. There are so many factors involved, and this is why it's important to withhold judgment when you're trying to find out the causes of schizophrenia. My advice is, once somebody has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, focus on the people. Until researchers figure out how to prevent schizophrenia, let's not speculate on what caused it. Let's not speculate the way we would do with, say, lung cancer and say, oh, this person was smoking for years and without it. Let's not do it that way. But for now, let's focus on treatment. Schizophrenia is not split personality. It's not bipolar disorder. Okay? The term schizophrenia means split mind, which has led some people to have this misconception that involves split in personality. In reality, it refers to split from reality, not division of personality. It's splitting from reality. The other misconception is that schizophrenia is violent. It's actually not. It's not violent by nature. While media portrayals often link schizophrenia with violence, research shows that most people with schizophrenia are not violent. In fact, they are more likely to be victims of violence. I'll give you a recent example. Sonia Marcy in Springfield, Illinois, was a victim of a murder by a police officer. Okay? when she did not express any form of anger at all. So the fact is, people who have schizophrenia are less likely to be violent. The new phenomenon on social media called schizohosting is absolute rubbish. If you watch it, maybe you're into that kind of cosplaying, fantasy nonsense. It's rubbish. That's not what schizophrenia is. It just reinforces a misconception of what schizophrenia is. So don't go out there and watch the internet. Oh, that's schizophrenia. That's not the case. Most people who have schizophrenia are not violent. Okay? Even the people who turn violent do it very rarely. Now, there are cases of people like Hinckley, who shot Ronald Reagan. It is not a death sentence to a normal life. With proper treatment and support, many people with schizophrenia can lead normal, fulfilling lives, maintain relationships, and pursue careers. As I said previously, there are people who are bosses and supervisors, engineers, scientists. There are many even famous people who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Don't listen to people who tell you it's demonic. Go and do proper treatment. Go through the proper treatment and look for friends who will support you in that treatment. The people are giving you negative information, stay away from them, because this is a disease. If you have the wrong friends, it can really affect you negatively. If you have some person giving you this negative thought that you're demon possessed, that can affect your life. It can make the disease more severe, okay? Because you're seeking wrong treatment. So make sure that you are surrounded by people who will provide you support as you go through the treatment, okay? Especially for my friends who are in the third world country where the treatments are limited. Everything has to count. Listen to the professionals, listen to your psychiatrists, doctors, the people who actually treat this disease. Listen to them. If you think you have schizophrenia, go out there and ask people who already have a family member with schizophrenia where they're getting treatment from if you see that they're doing well. I wouldn't go online for professional organizations referrals because some of those professional organizations are paid. The best way is to ask a doctor. If you ask a doctor this question, if it were you and you were diagnosed with this disease, who would you seek for treatment? Ask them that question. You'll be surprised. The doctor, your primary doctor might tell you, hey, this person is really good at treating this disease. Because many medical professionals know who is good at what. So ask personal questions, ask direct questions, and make sure that you have friends who will help you navigate that process and who know exactly what's going on, who have experience with others. Join organizations that address mental illness, including schizophrenia, because that can be helpful in providing a community of support. Don't listen to people come up with all sorts of weird, non-scientific explanation. It's not a non-scientific explanations that are wrong, it's that they can make the situation worse. If we don't know, don't use yourself as a guinea pig, okay? You do not want to be the guinea pig of their experiment. Oh, I think that this is caused by this type of demon possession. Okay, so we're gonna go to this person and they're gonna pray over you and gonna scream. No, don't do it, okay? Because what's going to happen is gonna make the disease worse, or if you have a family member or a child, it may make the disease worse for that child or spouse or whoever. So don't do it. Listen to the doctors, manage the disease. If the person needs hospitalization, seek treatment. Sometimes, in very bad circumstances, you may have to keep the person away from other people. That's rare. As long as you are going through the treatments and you're doing what you're supposed to do, in most cases, this disease is manageable. It's like diabetes. If you follow what the doctor is saying, don't know eating sweets and doing whatever the doctor is telling you to do and not to eat, and you're on a very strict diet, you can manage diabetes for a very, very long time until late into old age. Schizophrenia is a complex mental health disorder that affects how a person perceives and interacts. While it presents significant challenges, modern treatments offer hope for symptom management and improved quality of life. Understanding what schizophrenia is and what it is not is crucial to reducing the stigma and ensuring that those affected receive proper care and support as research continues. Our understanding of schizophrenia grows, leading to better treatments and outcomes. By educating ourselves and others, we can create a more supportive and inclusive society for individuals living with this condition. I look forward to a day when you don't have to hide that you have schizophrenia. Yes, there are famous people who come out publicly, but these people already have money and or a lot of talent and so on and so forth. Most people don't want to come out publicly. It would be like saying today, there was a time when if you said you had ADHD, your whole life would be affected at school. You wouldn't be treated properly. You wouldn't be given difficult classes and different. Nowadays, if you say you have ADHD, it's like, oh, you have ADHD. Okay, fine. You can manage it. We know that ADHD is manageable. I'm not saying there's no stigma against ADHD. I'm pretty sure there is, but it's nothing compared to schizophrenia. That's what I look forward to. A time when we could say, oh, yes, oh, okay. Just like when we say, hey, somebody has good diabetes, we don't assume the worst. That's what we're looking for with schizophrenia. People have schizophrenia are a full part of our society, and they're very functioning, and they contribute very positively, to a large extent. But some people who are schizophrenic have contributed huge to the development of our society. Thank you for watching, and I hope this educated enough, even though this is a long video. I appreciate you watching my video. Until next time, this is Mr. Materialist. Have a good day.